Hi everyone, I just want to warn you that this episode of C Squared was made when I was still trying to figure out my audio setup. Windows completely screwed up all of my settings, and so I had to rebuild everything from scratch. And I didn't have everything at its ideal place when I recorded this. It sounded fine to Kara, so she didn't really notice anything, but as I was listening back to it, it's not the greatest on headphones. And I apologize for that. It sounds a little okay when you're just listening to the speakers, but when you're listening on headphones, it's trash, and I apologize. I'm going to be getting a new microphone. I might get a mixer because, I'm tired of not having audio that sounds as good as every other YouTuber out there. I'm getting more popular, and you deserve a more professional setup, so I'm going to try and improve on that in the future. But yeah, sorry for the audio, and hopefully you still enjoy. Hello, everybody. It is I, the great Clement, as always, with my co-host.
Hello, everyone. It is Caro, and welcome back to another episode of C Squared where, hey, it's a little bit more frequent now. We should be about a month off from our last episode, but to be fair, there has been a lot going on in my life, and I feel like the weeks and days are mending in my head. But hopefully it's been a little more frequent.
I'm committing to the fact that we are uploading a C Squared every single month. It is still September, and we'll have another one in October, and then another one in November, and then another one in December. It'll never end, damn it. We're gonna have C Squared for days, C Squared every single month. Even if we only have one topic. Only if we have one topic!
No, we'll do 4 C Squareds in December for that YouTube monies.
I gotta please Algae Rhythm.
He's been doing you favors lately, too.
Oh yeah, Street Fighter. Did that come out after C Squared or before?
It was after.
Okay. Sorry, I'm losing track of time. Everything's been moving by so quickly. But yeah, Street Fighter's doing pretty good. It looks like it might cross over 1 million views in like a month or two. So another banger. It's going to be my second most popular video again. Like the insane lore is going to be my most popular stuff. So, that's exciting. Although the one thing that is awkward about it is that a lot of the top comments are people clarifying things or saying things about the lore that either I forgot to mention or that I might have gotten wrong. And that's the worst thing you want to see as a content creator, is when everyone's going, actually, Clement, actually, it's supposed to be this. Actually, it's supposed to be this. Don't you know?
Then make your own damn lore video. Then make your own damn lore video. If you think you can do better than that, then you make your own damn lore video.
Damn, you're taking it so personally.
No, I'm sorry, because, I know some people are trying to be helpful, and I get that. And that's something I've run into. My line of work as a wrestling writer where I'll forget something, and I've had people who have been courteous, and I appreciate it, I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But just being in the space for a while where I see people I don't know, in the SGB or the Brain Scratch commentary video where they're like, oh my god, so-and-so is so horrible at, talking, and they can't do this or that, and I'm like, then you go join the video and see if you do a better job, okay?
Like, hey, I spent months looking at Street Fighter lore. I'm sorry if there's a detail that I might have missed out on. Where was it? And that's something I said in the Street Fighter video. I said, if you have extra lore, please tell me where you saw it. Because if you're not going to clarify where that lore came from, then how do I know you're not making it up? Because I was looking at this stuff. I was looking at this lore. Where are you getting this information? But, I got lots of people telling me it was a great video. I got lots of people... I've seen, reactions to it on Twitch and stuff. It's kind of weird. It's weird when you can, watch someone else watch your stuff, and you think you're gonna cringe, and you're gonna be like, oh god, they're gonna see how embarrassing I am. Oh no. And then they watch it, and they're laughing, and they're just going yeah, this is awesome. I love this video. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did it. I did it.
But that's something to be very proud about, so that's good.
Yeah. But anyway, I gotta stop tooting my own horn. We got things to talk about.
We certainly do have things to talk about. And, like, over the last month, as I've told y'all, there's been a lot going on. And if you're a wrestling fan like me, who specifically follows AEW, there's a whole lot going on in that department, and oh boy.
Hero day since our last nonsense.
Yes, if you told me 2 years ago, because we did talk about this on C Squared, that CM Punk would not only get into a backstage fight with the EVPs where his guy bit someone else and chairs were thrown, came back to AEW after suspension, essentially got his own TV show, even though the reasoning in the back was, well, it was gonna happen anyway with the brand split, and then got fired from AEW because of Luke Perry's son. I don't know, this feels like a generator. I just can't believe this all happened. It's I don't know.
You know, it's funny. Every now and then I go through my playlists to update my videos, and I update the C Squared podcast playlist, because I mentioned this before, but the 2 newest videos of C Squared are public, and everything before that is unlisted, but you can find it just fine in the playlist, which is on the front page, and it's also listed whenever you're watching these videos on YouTube, it pops up as a playlist for the card. So, you know, all the C Squared episodes are still there. I just unlist the less recent ones so that it doesn't clutter up the feed with just C Squared stuff. But, you know, I go through the playlist, and episode 4, C Squared Caca. Front and center on the thumbnail of that particular episode is CM Punk, because that was when he returned to AEW. And I remember that was such a joyous, awesome, momentous occasion. And it was like, yeah, CM Punk's back in wrestling, and he seems chill, and everything's awesome. Yeah, that's great. And, boy, what a difference 2 years can make.
I don't know.
Good Lord.
That's all I have. Just it's really unfortunate that it had to come down to this. It really is. And like, if you have been following me on Twitter over the last year and have seen me tweet about this situation a lot, it's pretty messy. There's a lot of like backstage bureaucracy that comes with that. And I just want to say, like, at the upfront, that I don't hate CM Punk. I don't dislike him. He was a favorite of mine when I was in high school. And in fact, like, the pipe bomb came at a really, really, really important time in my life. Like, it was one of the lower points because, my karate sensei had just died the week before. I found out, like, that same week my best friend was moving, and I got stood up on a date. So that all happened in a week. Yes, it was like literally like one of the worst weeks of my life. Like, and then that pipe bomb episode was that following Monday. And that meant so much to me in that moment that Punk was saying all of these things. And it was just something that I could just turn my brain off for a while, just forget everything that was going on in my personal life at the time. And here's Punk saying everything that I had wanted in wrestling, everything that was wrong with the WWE at the time. And he really was a face of a movement, like an alternate wrestling movement.
Yeah.
And it resonated with a lot of people. And for Punk to come back to AEW, to a company that proved itself as the alternative to the WWE, is so powerful. He finally had a place where he could do what he wanted. He could have that creative control. He could lead younger wrestlers and just have the space that he had always wanted in wrestling. And he ruined all that. And it's so sad. It's so sad.
Like, before all this stuff started happening, too, like, I thought him and MJF had one of my favorite rivalries/feuds of all time in that company. I love the MJF CM Punk feud. That stuff was gold. The promos were amazing. The matches were amazing. And yeah, it just seemed like there was a time when he would do scrums and he would just be like talking about how like, I got nothing to be mad about. I'm just happy as a pig in shit, like I'm back at wrestling and wrestling is good again,
And who could blame anyone for like believing that? Because I see people that are like, oh, well, you should have fallen for CM Punk's thing in the first place. It was all faked. And I'm like, I don't blame people for like believing that. Like, that's something I believe too. Because when you see someone that you care about come back to a place where they're happy again, this is what we wanted from Punk. He had the most ridiculous falling out from the WWE.
Yeah.
It was just so good to see. Like, there's so much shit that goes on in wrestling. It's a really dark industry. And you just want to believe, like, the good and the light stuff that comes out of that,
And to be fair, like, there are a lot of people who left WWE with a lot of, like, bad blood with a chip on their shoulder, like, famously John Moxley, who is also one of the big faces of AEW, also did not like how his time was at WWE. That's why he left, because his character was always being written horribly, and he just didn't like how no one was listening to him. Like, he wasn't getting to do what he really wanted to do, why he loves wrestling. And that's why, essentially, he came to AEW and why he's taken off as he did. And, it's also, like, that happened. He left WWE, CM Punk. He left around, like, 2013, 2014.
2014.
Yeah, 2014. So when he finally came back to AEW, it must have been 7 years or something.
It was about 7.5 years.
That's a lot of time to pass. That's a lot of time for us as human beings to grow, to mellow out, to just, experience the things that life has to offer. So, like, I didn't know what kind of guy we were going to get when he came back. And again, it started out perfectly fine. It was really awesome. He was doing fun promos. And, I had no complaints. But then, of course, we got to the incident with the EVPs and the scrum, where he was very, very, very angry about a certain Hangman Adam Page.
And, like, the thing is, with that incident, like, I get where he's coming from, and I'm gonna explain why in a moment, because, like,
yeah,
Punk is right that the media, or at least wrestling media in particular, can be exploitative as someone who is kind of on and off in that space. And I can understand why he would be mad, why people would be spreading, or however the news gets around, like, spreading some stuff about him, why people would automatically assume that because Colt Cabana was moved to Ring of Honor that, oh, well, this is clearly all Punk's fault. Like, I understand that.
There's a lot of bags to set up here.
Yeah. However, you do not do that in a scrum. You do not go up at a press conference and say that.
Nah.
This would not fly by in the real world. You do that in the real world, you're fired. And that's what I don't understand, He
just seemed real pissed off, and he was just mouthing off about things. And again, things that weren't involved in his current storyline.
Yes.
Like, he was in a feud with John Moxley, and here he is on the scrum talking about, people in the back. Like, I don't even know who asked about Colt Cabana. I don't know if anyone did. He had a falling out with his best friend, Colt Cabana. There was bad blood about that. And I guess it was coming up in the news, and he got pissed about it. So he started talking about, like, people leaking information. And then he says, like, I hate that I have to work with a dumb fuck like Hangman Adam Page, who goes into business for himself, because he talked about workers' rights in a promo once. Like, I still haven't seen any scathing promo that's like, oh my god, I can't believe he said that.
No.
Like, there are so many promo, like, even when I talk about, like, his feud and rivalry with MJF, like, MJF was saying a lot of stuff that you could interpret as being, too real. Like, there was a moment where, like, MJF was saying, like, the audience is seeing the happy side of Punk, the good side of Punk, but if they saw what he was like backstage, they'd see the melodramatic guy who gets pissy when he doesn't get what he wants,
I'd argue that Eddie Kingston was worse. Eddie Kingston was so much worse. Eddie Kingston ripped into him! Because Eddie Kingston's promo before Full Gear was like, oh, if all these people really saw what you were like because we were in the indies together in the 2000s, oh, they'd so turn on you. Like, Eddie Kingston just... And maybe, like, some of that is true on his end, I don't know, but there was, like, a lot of, like, passion and anger that came out of his character. And when Hangman was, like, on TV talking about workers' rights, honestly, when I saw it the first time, I didn't even know what he was talking about. Like, I didn't automatically be like, oh, did he shoot on Punk and Colt Cabana?
Yeah.
That never, like, connected to me until I saw someone say that was what was in reference to. Like, all I'm trying to say is that, like, I did not automatically think that Hangman was talking about Colt Cabana in that moment.
Yeah, it's such a spur of the moment, because wrestling goes on for so long, and there's so many shows every single week, that, like, sometimes just something goes right over your head. And then you'll just find that, like, 2-3 weeks later, CM Punk is calling out Hangman in a promo, and then Hangman doesn't come out to attack or address him. And then he goes, yeah, that's coward shit. And I'm like, what? Okay. Are they going to feud again?
Did you see Hangman's response to that? Or how he decided to handle that?
I saw the BTE episode, yeah.
Yes.
Which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah. I honestly think that, like, this might be biased in what I'm saying, but Hangman is such an amazing person in the industry. I have not heard a single horrible thing about him. He is very professional. I've met him a few times. He's nothing but a sweet person. He does a great job of keeping, like, his personal and family life outside of wrestling. Like, I don't think he's posted a picture of, like, his son on the internet, which honestly, good for him, because the wrestling community can be weirdos in that department.
Uh-huh.
So all I'm trying to say here is that, like, it's so off to me that someone would automatically jump to having an issue with Hangman. And again, all that I'm saying is probably parasocial, but based on what I have heard from friends and people and peers that I know who are involved in the industry, it's just so weird for someone to be like, oh, well, Hangman went into business for himself. I'm like, what? What?
And also just hung up on it for a while. Mm-hmm. Like, again, the promo happened. A few weeks later, CM Punk's still mad about it. And then, like, another few weeks, he has the scrum where he's still calling him out about it. So it's like he seems hung up on it. He seems like a really bitter about it. And he's talking about it publicly on TV. So that's kind of the problem.
And, like, unfortunately, that's been a thing with Punk in the past, because clearly that, like, and I'm not, like, a psychologist. I don't have, like, any sort of, like,
no
credential or stuff like that. But based on what has publicly been out, it seems that there is some sort of disconnect between communicating needs or holding on to grudges. Like, if he had a problem with Hangman saying the workers' right promo, he could have taken him backstage and have been like, hey, I didn't necessarily like what you said in this promo because this line in particular could potentially be connected to the Colt Cabana situation, you know, how sensitive that is. Could we maybe talk next time about working certain lines to see what can work and what doesn't work for either of us, so that we're both getting what we need? You see what I'm saying here? Like, it's that communication. And that's, like, the big common theme with this whole situation, is that, like, there were a lot of miscommunications and situations where, like, people weren't communicating to each other in the proper channels that were needed in order to mitigate things. And it's pretty much why I squarely just blame the entire situation on Tony Khan in particular, because as the president of your company, you're expected to just go in there and try to solve this stuff. If you were hearing stuff about, oh, well, Colt Cabana got moved to Ring of Honor because of CM Punk, that is your responsibility to shut that shit down immediately.
Yeah.
And it was just something that he wasn't doing.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, the point is, CM Punk caused the sting at the scrum. He got into a fight with the Young Bucks, and you know, there's a lot of fighting and chairs being thrown, and people got suspended. You know, everyone got suspended. And at first, we didn't even know if CM Punk was going to come back or not. And then, lo and behold, he is coming back. And he's going to be coming back on the Saturday exclusive show, AEW Collision, where he'll be spending the majority of his time. He won't be on Dynamite, and the Elite will be on Dynamite, and CM Punk will be on Collision. So it's almost like, well, they can't get along, so we're just going to separate them. We're just going to put them, we're going to put a group of them over there and a group of them over there. And then everything will be good. Then everything will be happy and great. But, and I genuinely hoped that CM Punk was going to have, like he was going to chill out and just be like, yeah, okay, temper's flared, whatever.
No. The moment when he said counterfeit bucks, I knew it wasn't going to end well. I'm like, nope, no, I can't wait to see where this ends.
So, yeah, and again, he even made another crack at Hangman, which, again, it's been like a year since that happened. And I'll agree about this situation in particular. AEW All In, I will say that I think Jack Perry is being a little obnoxious about this. I will say that.
For sure. I agree. It's your biggest show of the year. Actually, biggest show in history. You got Wembley Stadium. Like, when was the last time a wrestling show ran in Wembley? SummerSlam 92. The point is that, like, it's not only the biggest show in your company's history, it's the biggest wrestling show that's happened in that stadium in decades. So you don't want anything to happen that could screw that up. And you should know CM Punk by now in the sense that he has a short temper. He's not going to take any unscripted things well, apparently, which I kind of find ironic, but I digress. So,
yeah, I
just don't understand how you could say that line and not expect to, get in trouble for it. I don't know.
And again, this was a backstage thing. Like, It's not a scripted event. This wasn't a promo that happened beforehand. It's a friggin' thing that happened between you and someone else backstage. So there's no reason to bring it to TV to be like, yeah, real glass, cry me a rip. Because the premise is Jack Perry is fighting Hook, and he gets slammed against a car, and they wanted to use fake glass so that, potentially he might not get cut up and injured horribly. Cut to Goldberg from WCW, who punched a fucking limo with his arm and cut his friggin' forearm. He could have slashed that thing up real bad, because glass, as it turns out, is very sharp, and it can kill you.
Yes.
So, I actually agree with CM Punk that, it would be better to use fake glass. He is older than Jack. He does have more experience with this stuff. Maybe he knows what he's talking about in this incident. And I'm sure there were and I don't know the whole details. I don't know who else was talking to him about this, but Jack apparently took this the wrong way. He was very, very upset about it. And so he goes on TV and makes a crack about something that happened backstage that was in the dirt sheets and not in the actual show itself. So it's like, okay. And it goes by so quick that, maybe a lot of people didn't even notice it. But of course, it sparked this whole thing because CM Punk noticed it.
And I could add a little bit more context. So the spot was talked about a few weeks prior to the line that was said. And Perry went to Punk, and obviously Punk was like, no, use fake glass. But what happened, and then to further show the miscommunication that was happening in the company because of the pseudo brand split, Perry went to Dynamite's people, and Dynamite was like, yeah, sure, use real glass.
Okay.
So Perry was like, okay, well, they said it was fine, so I'm gonna use the real glass here.
Yeah. So
I'm like, where was Tony to put in the final word? Like, Punk has a point. Real glass is, like, horrible, and that hurts. So Tony could have easily been like, yeah, I would listen to Punk, don't use real glass. Cool, fine. Big Boss said it. Cool. But that wasn't what was happening here, clearly. And then 10 minutes before the show was about to go on the air, that's when the whole altercation backstage happened. And then Samoa Joe had to come in and diffuse everything. And then, like, because Samoa Joe and Punk were planned to open the show. Like, that was the plan. And because Punk was so agitated, they tried to check in on FTR and the Bucks to see if they were ready. And they were like, no, we need more time. So then they were like, oh, is Kenny, Hangman, and Coda ready? And they were like, I guess we could go on first. But then they were able to defuse the situation enough that Punk and Samoa Joe ended up going out there. So when Punk was coming out for the entrance, that whole incident happened. Like, he had already gotten into Tony's face and stuff like that, so...
Oh, yeah, let's talk about the incident, though. Let's talk about the incident, because some people might not know what we're talking about. Because, like, okay, so Jack Perry, after having his match and having said on TV, like, real glass, cry me a river, he runs into Punk backstage, and Punk is agitated. He's like, you got a problem with me? And, of course, pushing and shoving and choking. You know, CM Punk is just agitated as fuck and just goes after Jack Perry. And the altercation is so extreme that, like, monitors are flipping over, and friggin' Tony Khan, the owner of the company, finds himself in danger. I don't know, was it CM Punk also went after Tony, or did he just knock monitors over him?
He went after Tony, and the monitors fell.
Okay.
So while he was going after him, the monitors fell, and...
essentially, like, the idea was...
yeah.
Tony was trying to break these two up because, yeah, go figure, it's a fucking show. What are you doing? And I guess CM Punk was just so pissed, like, oh, fuck you, you fucking, how dare you, you piece of shit, you're taking his side or whatever. I don't know what he was doing, but Punk was mad.
He lunged at Tony and literally said, I hate this place, I hate AEW, I quit, I want to leave, stuff like that. And based on what Tony said weeks later when he announced Punk's departure, may or may not have threatened his life. So, yeah.
Oh my god. So yeah, this is what we're talking about with this particular subject is, you know, All In, there's a big backstage, like, this is not part of the show. This is not part of the entertainment. This is a real life situation that led to CM Punk getting fired, and why we are talking about it today, because this is a fucking crazy thing that only happens in wrestling.
Yep.
And it was wild that, like, the following week you go to watch, it was Collision or Rampage? Which show was it?
It was Collision. It was 4:30 p.m. And I remember that because I was playing Pikmin 4 while talking to Sabrina, and then I checked Twitter and I saw the news release. That's where I was when Punk was fired.
And it's rare in wrestling to have, like, a real life firing addressed as the show begins, to have the owner being like, look, you know, I like Phil, you know, he was a great worker, he did nothing but good things for our company, but I was in fear for my life.
Which then makes you wonder, what did he do?
That's wild.
You realize we're never gonna know this for another 20 to 30 years. Like, when that eventual, and it will happen because it's wrestling. This shit happens all the time. But there will be a shoot interview.
CM Punk was fired. He's no longer in AEW, and his 8-year disappearance is back on, I guess. Like, his disappearance from wrestling is back on, unless he goes somewhere else in the next 2 months or so. I don't know. I don't know what his plans are. I would think that the older you get, the more mellow you would become. You know, like, I would feel that he would just get tired of wanting to instigate these fights. He would get tired of wanting to just push back on everyone who challenges him. You know, he's like the ultimate argument for doing drugs and alcohol right now, because it's like, he's straight edge. He doesn't drink. He doesn't do drugs. He's pure and as it's supposed to be. And yet he's always so stressed and flies off the handle at the drop of a hat, you know? And it's like, at this point, you're like, dude, just drink a beer.
For sure.
I don't know. It's like, because I said Jack Perry was being obnoxious, and he was. I think that his reaction about the glass spot, a little over the top. Dude, you're just looking out for your safety. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But as the adult, as the guy who should be above all this, CM Punk should let that shit slide. The little TV comment, that's something that rolls down your back, and you just go, okay, whatever, kid. You know, you don't fucking pick fights and try to attack him when the show is about to begin, and then go after your boss in a fucking in a blast of rage, because that's not what a responsible adult does. That's not what a mature adult does.
Nope.
That's you know, I understand why he was fired. You know, I can enjoy his promo work, I can enjoy his wrestling, but I get it. And I think it's justified that he was fired, because good Lord, man, you gotta, like, you gotta get a leash on that anger. You gotta get some anger management or something, because you're just flying off the handle way too much about so many things. And maybe some of it's justified. I don't know the backstage. We probably will never know the real story behind what was going on behind the scenes. Maybe the Young Bucks were antagonizing him. Maybe they are dicks. I don't know. Maybe. But hey, it's a show of your character on how you respond to that. And you don't respond well to others, like you don't appear well to others by attacking people. You know?
It's some WCW stuff too, because like if you look very closely at the media release of Punk's firing, they specifically said that they terminated the wrestler and the employer agreements. So it's implied that Punk had two positions. One, obviously, as a contracted wrestler on the roster, and two, by using the word employer in that media release, kind of insinuates that he had some sort of backstage role where he could be entirely in control of, like, his creative or whatever. And that's, like, some WCW stuff, because I'm like, Tony, did you not learn from Eric Bischoff and Hogan? This is literally one of the reasons why WCW went the way it did. You just do not do that. Like, it's like one of my good friends told me. Wrestling is a business where you need to have an ego, in the sense that you have to advocate for yourself, you have to know what you want, and you have to be assertive and sometimes aggressive in certain situations. But a lot of the times, as we've seen, wrestlers use that ego to belittle others and to only get what they want and antagonize certain people in certain situations, which is exactly what happened with Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan in the 90s. Very similar situation where Hogan was given an office job, essentially, and had creative control over what he did, so he could be like, hey, I'm gonna win this match and this title, I'm gonna do this, this, and that. There's nothing y'all can do about it because it says so in my contract.
Yeah.
And that derailed a lot of people's on-screen time. And that sucks. And I can't imagine that, like, Punk didn't have, like, maybe not exactly one-to-one Hogan, because Hogan's, like, even worse, but that's, like, another episode for another day. I'm not going to even get into Hogan right now. But
yeah,
Punk might have had some sort of creative control where he could control who was on Collision and what, which then explains why he was able to ban people from Collision backstage. Because I still don't understand that. But yeah.
And, you know, I was looking forward to the Ricky Starks CM Punk conclusion. I thought that was going to be a fun feud, but oh wells. He had a nice fight with Bryan Danielson instead, so.
Punk didn't even, like, face Bryan Danielson. No Kenny. There's so many, like, stars he didn't
so many
face
missed
yet.
opportunities.
Wow.
Like, there were so many great matchups he still could have had, man. It's crazy. And, you know, not that I care only for entertainment, obviously, but, you know, it's just, he could have just been like Bryan Danielson, a guy who, when he goes to a scrum, it's the most pleasant, enjoyable scrum of the night because he's just so chill and cool,
Yes.
and everyone has nothing but good things to say about him, and he's gonna go down in history as a legend, and you want to be like him.
Bless Bryan. Bless Mox, too. Mox is a very similar guy that, like, is always willing to put people over and give everyone flowers when necessary.
Yeah. Wrestling. It's something else.
Like, I'm just relieved that this is, like, over. Kind of. And the internet will internet, and you will have to hear, like, some sort of shoot, comment, or interview from Punk eventually. But, like, I just wanted to say as a closing note that, there were people online that said that this was the end of AEW with Punk being fired. I hope it's not the end for AEW. Obviously not, because, like, they're doing fine.
I was gonna say, it's not the end of AEW. That's an exaggeration. Come on.
AEW was doing fine before Punk came in. It wasn't like, and I hope history doesn't revise this, and I feel like it will, but I just want to say that AEW was still hitting, like, around the 800 to 900,000 viewers on Dynamite. And they were hitting 1 million a couple of times, or a few good times, even before Punk came in. And if they were fine then, they'll be fine now. Like, two of my favorite AEW matches of all time happened before Punk came in.
Yeah.
So I would like to imagine that they will be okay. And it's just nice to see that, like, fans on both extremes, because there are fans on both the Punk and the Elite sides that have been extreme, like, can just shut up about this. Because you don't need to be, like, harassing people online just because they show support for CM Punk, like, on a TV show or whatever, and you don't need to harass people for continuing to support the Elite. Just stop it. Just stop it. Stop it.
For Christ's sake. I'm sick of these fucking toddler wars. Stop it.
Just let me enjoy my wrestling.
Yeah.
Please. I will cheer Tony when I go to Dynamite in October. I will give him a round of applause.
Oh wow, that rare words from you, Kara. Rare words indeed.
He did the thing I needed him to do. It took him a year to do it, but
but yeah, it's just, that's the end of CM Punk and AEW, and whatever he does in the future, I don't know, but
I wish him the best of luck.
Yeah. Just don't attack people anymore.
Hope he gets better. But you know what would have helped CM Punk with his backstage troubles in AEW?
What's that?
Maybe if he allocated more people to help him run Collision, in the sense that he wasn't banning people or having everything controlled under him, maybe Collision would have run efficiently with Punk being there. And it sounds like Punk needed some Dandori in his life to get everything organized.
I'm just picturing CM Punk in an astronaut suit.
You have all the blue Pikmin, I don't know, bring water to the wrestlers. You have the red Pikmin banning people from Collision with their fire resistance. You have the yellow Pikmin operating the lighting and the stage set. And
the rock Pikmin can break Jack Perry's glass! We nailed it!
Perfect.
But yes, folks, Pikmin 4 is finally here. It came out on the Nintendo Switch, and I've always been a big, huge Pikmin fan since the very beginning. I pretty much loved every single entry, and so I was really excited for this one, and it might just be the best one yet.
I agree, too. I love, love, love Pikmin 4. I've been having a good time with it. It's a really relaxing... I find it relaxing. I find it, like... I know people complain about, like, the difficulty setting, and, like, if you want to play games on a... If you want to play Pikmin on a difficult setting, that's great. You do you. But, I appreciated the accessibility and the comfortness of this title in particular. It didn't feel like I was on a time limit to, like, I don't know, do what I needed to do. I could just go on night expeditions or explore however much I wanted to, or spend as much time in the tunnels. So that was nice to have.
Yeah, the important thing to note about Pikmin 4 is that it is very much modeled after Pikmin 2, which was kind of a departure. I mean, the gameplay is exactly the same, but, like, the framing of it was very different compared to the original, because in Pikmin 1, the premise is you have to find all of your ship parts in 30 days, otherwise Olimar is going to die. So basically, you have a 30-day time limit to gather everything and then blast off. And, I'm not the greatest Pikmin player. I usually get off around day 16 or 17.
That's better than me.
Well, there you go. And I do know a few people who did struggle with the time limit. They actually barely made it. I swear to God. But, and then Pikmin 2 is just like, okay, we're going to be a little chill. We're just going to, like, let you have unlimited time to gather everything. But now we're going to add all these extra hard dungeons. So it's like, yeah, the time limit's gone, but they did up the challenge, and they did up the circumstances and made it a little more, whoa, all my Pikmin just got wiped out instantly, Jesus Christ, So there's still a tension to Pikmin 2 in that way. Pikmin 3 brought back the time limit, but it was a lot more easier going, also because the controls were improved. You could send Pikmin all at once now, and the camera angles were better, and the boss fights. That's one thing I'll say about Pikmin 4. I think it's a great game, but damn, it is missing the awesome boss fights from Pikmin 3, because Pikmin 3 had some gigantic creatures. Like, you would fight like this big slug that's like running and sliding across the ridge of the hill, and when you actually defeated that slug, like, you actually got to carry it, drag it back to your spaceship, and it was fucking huge! So when you have all these Pikmin dragging this big, gigantic boss back to the spaceship, that's just, like, the most amazing image. I loved that segment from Pikmin 3.
It just also feels rewarding, too, because, like, you took down that boss, and then you're seeing, like, your Pikmin literally carry off the fruits of your labor. And I just like that stuff.
We're having dinner tonight.
I'm excited. Nasty.
We're having dinner for tonight and tomorrow and every night for the next 3 weeks.
God.
But Pikmin 4 does not have a time limit. Okay, there is a second mode that I don't want to spoil the circumstances around it, but they've basically had their cake and ate it too, because Pikmin 4 is essentially a redo of Pikmin 2, where there's not really a time limit, and they've brought back dungeons, those multi-layered dungeons where you go down one floor after another until you get all of the treasures in that dungeon. So you're always going to like these very specially made miniature maps where you have to collect the treasures and defeat the enemies, and it can... I would say it gets tense, but in reality, if you do leave the cave, you can always just go back to the exact floor that you left at. So it's not like you have to do this big, long gauntlet. It's not like you have to do this big, long, oh man, I have to do 20 floors in a row, and if I lose like all of them in floor 16, I have to do them all over again. No. If you are done at floor 16, you can just come back with a full party of Pikmin at floor 16, and then everything's hunky-dory. Later, when you have completed the first act of the main campaign and you've reached the end credits, there is a second side quest thing that feels like Pikmin 1, where they give you, and it's actually a pretty strict time limit. You know, if you want the stressful thing, it's there. If you don't want the stressful thing, that's also there. Pikmin 4 is catering to all fans with this one.
And it's a really nice split, too. Because, like, you appeal to the fan base that tends to be, like, a little bit more casual and chill with their games, but you also appeal to the hardcore Pikmin fans that do like having that challenge there. And, again, that's something I appreciated a lot.
Yeah. And with this one, you actually get to customize your own character. We're not playing as any pre-established character. You get to make your own. You can make them have a red suit, a green suit, pink hair, blue hair. Well, you know, you can make them look however you want them to look, so that's fun. I added our custom characters in the thumbnail of this video.
I love making my characters pink, so I gave my character pink hair, and I made her short like me, because I am very short in real life. And she had a pink astronaut suit.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I was watching like other people play Pikmin 4, and because I chose red, everyone in the rescue squad were wearing red, and I didn't think anything of it. Then I start watching other people, and it's like, oh, someone's got a green suit. Oh, all of them are wearing green now. And then someone wear pink, and oh, all of them are wearing pink. Like, the color of your suit is the same color that everyone in the crew is going to have, including the dog, Ochi, the new companion buddy from Pikmin 4, who is such a good pupper. Such a good pupper.
This is a pro Ochi podcast. I love Ochi so much. He's the best dog ever. I love him. He's been so helpful in the game. And look at him. He's got like 2 little legs and he has no nose. And that's okay. I love him.
I may be a cat person, but yes, he is a good boy, and if anything happened to him, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
But no. Why would you ever like Ochi? He is children's consumer bait.
You want to explain where that comes from?
Yes. Okay, so I was on Reddit one night, and I was looking through the Pikmin Reddit, and there was a thread that I found of people complaining about Ochi in one of the comments. I don't know, I hope this person was trolling, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was an actual thing. They were like, oh, Ochi sucks. He's just children's consumer bait. As if Pikmin's not rated E for everyone.
Oh man, cute things in a Nintendo game? That's never happened before.
What is Nintendo's obsession with dogs? We had dogs in Yoshi. We don't need dogs in Pikmin. And I'm like, yo,
Okay.
it's a dog. Calm down.
But yeah, Ochi is a very overpowered, very, very useful tool in this game because
Yes.
you can ride Ochi, right? And you can also summon all of your Pikmin to ride on him as well. All 100 of them. So at any point, if you don't want the Pikmin who are slow and dragging behind and you'll have to like wait for them or go back for them, that happened a lot in the previous Pikmin games, and it can still happen in this one too, where like if they don't have if they only have a leaf for a head and they don't have a flower for a head, they're going to be a lot slower. They're going to be a lot, clumsier. They'll actually trip sometimes, and then they'll just get like left behind. And when the sun sets and you need to leave the planet because all the critters are coming out, well, that's no good because one of them might be somewhere like 20 miles back because he tripped. Ugh.
If I was going long distances across like the map or a dungeon, I would always like have Ochi in that ride mode where all the Pikmin are like riding on him,
Yeah, because all 100 can grab onto him and they're not going to trip or fall off or anything. So like they're always going at your speed. I think it's faster to be on Ochi than it is to walk on your own, actually.
Yes, it is absolutely faster to be on Ochi. Which was great for clearing maps.
So, like, you would ride your dog and your Pikmin would be there with you, and the dog can also friggin' swim through the water. So if you have all these Pikmin that aren't blue, who can't swim and can drown in that stuff, well, no big deal, because Ochi will carry all the Pikmin across the water, and he can jump up over ledges that they can't climb, and he's so useful. He's so freaking useful.
Oh yeah, it's great. Like, I maxed out Ochi's, like, rush move. I forget what it's properly called in the game, but that was so amazing to have. If, like, I had little enemies that were in the way of, like, certain treasures or items that I wanted to get to, I would just fully charge Ochi, and then they would clear it out in one hit.
Oh,
which
yeah.
was, like, amazing. And Ochi didn't even, like, stun or stall or anything.
He just barrels through them like the fucking rhino. Yep. Mm-hmm. Like, that was especially useful in the nighttime missions, which that's a new mechanic of Pikmin 4. Because finally, we actually get to experience the nightlife of Pikmin for the first time, where the monsters are ferocious and you have to defend. It's basically a tower defense mode, where you have this little hive and you're trying to get this nectar out of it. And now you've been introduced to the glow Pikmin. And I love the glow Pikmin. They're so awesome. Basically,
I know.
They're these green ghosty Pikmin who float around and they just float behind you. But my favorite thing is when you ask them to bring like jewels and stuff to the hive in order to, expand your roster and make the amount of Pikmin you have grow, they'll just immediately teleport to where you are. Like they don't like take a long time walking or slowly floating to where you are. No, they'll just instantly appear right behind you just in time for when a big ass Bulborb shows up to chomp on the hive,
Yeah, and I found that, like, really helpful when going through and trying to defeat all the enemies on the map.
But I just love that, like, because Ochi can run over the smaller ones, sometimes I would let the Pikmin just, like, grab all those jewels so that they could expand their roster, and then I would just, like, go after the little ones on my own with Ochi just going, rah! I'm gonna kill you myself! The Pikmin are busy doing their thing, and I'm just killing the little guys. But even when, like, the big guys show up, my favorite thing about Ochi is that, like, when you do the charge move with the Pikmin on it, they will all cling to the enemy that he charged into. And eventually, you can upgrade Ochi where, like, when you charge into an enemy, big or small, like, a big enemy will get stunned when you charge into him. So, like, you charge into a big Bulborb, he'll stand there dizzy for a little bit while the 100 Pikmin that are attached to the dog are just clung onto the enemy and are now beating the living hell out of him, draining his health like it's nobody's business. It's crazy.
It is very satisfying.
Yeah, I love it. And that's not even counting the fact that, like, the glow Pikmin themselves already have a move where, like, you build up this energy bar and then they basically let out this spirit bomb. This big,
oh, yeah. I love doing that to larger enemies, too.
This big energy blast that just, like, knocks out all the creatures in the area. Not just one, like, all the creatures in the area. And then they get stunned, and then you can just, like, blow your whistle and send them all on them. And it's just like, good lord, you feel like a force of destruction in this game. Which is strange to say about Pikmin, but you feel like you're really leading armies and just, like, tearing these poor bastards apart.
It's organized chaos.
Organized chaos. It's Dandori. Yes.
Dandori. Yep.
Dandori. Because that's another mechanic of Pikmin 4, is they've introduced all of these Dandori battles. So they've actually given it a term, Dandori. So now people will describe that as how they multitask, the Dandori of it all, you know.
And I like the Dandori battles. Those are so much fun.
Yeah.
Essentially, like, there's, like, I believe there's one in every world map. I'm not counting the ones where you collect the treasures in a certain amount of time. I'm talking about, like, when you face someone. Like, I believe there's one for it.
Yeah, there's a one-on-one encounter and a collect everything kind of map.
Yeah.
Another player with another Ochi is competing against you. They are also trying to take the creatures, take the treasures, and bring them to their onion. So you are competing in a one-on-one battle against another computer-controlled, Pikmin player, essentially. And you can also screw with them by, like, attacking their dog.
Yeah.
Sicking the Pikmin on their dog and just going, no, you're not dragging anything away. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I know later in them, you can start, like, bringing bombs to their onions. So, like, when they do collect stuff, you can send the bomb to their onion, and then it blows up, and then all of the treasures go out, and then you can grab the treasures and bring them to your onion. So it's a fun way to play Pikmin, and that should be in, like, an online mode, really.
Oh, that would be so much fun online. Yeah. I can certainly, like, see that. But the battles are fun because, like, there are also certain treasures that are, like, marked as extra points, and you can bring that in. And, like, I've never really had a battle where, like, it was pretty close. I always found that, like, I got way more points than, like, my other opponent. But that's also because I have an overpowered Ochi when I did them.
Yeah. I would say I had a little issue with, like, the last two, but, you know, that's because I'm stupid.
Is your Dandori just not up to par?
My Dandori is not good enough. But yeah, those fights are fantastic, and graphically, this is probably the best Pikmin game in the series. It just looks fantastic, and I love the environments that you go into this time, because, like, right off the bat, as soon as the game starts, you play as Olimar for a brief prologue, and you're in a house. Like, you're in an actual, just real house where there's a kitchen, and there's a couch, and there's, you know, all these, like, little toys and booklets and pillows and things, like, all over the place. And I've always wanted Pikmin to go in that direction, because we've always known throughout the series that this is supposed to be Earth, essentially. Like, in Pikmin 2, you're finding Duracell batteries and shit, you know? Like, I don't know what happened to humanity. I don't know why we got wiped out. Maybe we went to the Rapture. I don't know. But their character is collecting all these treasures on Earth. And it's fun to actually have them interacting with giant houses this time around instead of just the wilderness. So, you know, the fact that you're actually going through a living room and going up a kitchen, like, you're walking around a sink and stuff and just trying to grab items like that. It's very Chibi Robo, another Nintendo property, but, you know, I like Pikmin way more than Chibi Robo. Sorry, Chibi Robo fans.
Oh, no.
I own Chibi Robo. I own it physically. It's in my house, and I I wish I loved it more than I did, but you know.
The only Chibi Robo game that I've played is unfortunately Ziplash.
Oh.
So not the best impression of Chibi Robo, but also the original is very, very expensive from what I've been told.
Yeah, I could sell it and make a fortune.
You should sell it.
No, it's mine.
You don't like it, go sell it.
What if I need to review it one day?
When would you need to review Chibi Robo?
Well, we are talking to my YouTube audience right now. What do you think, audience? Should I review Chibi Robo for the Nintendo GameCube? Thank you, that's my pitch. But,
But yeah, I'm with you there. Like, I love the idea of just, like, Pikmin going around a house. And one of my favorite things about the game and just Pikmin in general is that, like, the names of certain items.
Oh, yeah. They always have the goofy treasure descriptions.
I like the name for the Game Boy Advance SP.
What was the name for the Game Boy Advance SP?
It's the Stone of Advancement.
I like the GameCube Wavebird controller. Winged Freedom Sculpture. But also I like the Rubber Duckies, because they always call each version of Rubber Ducky a Rubber Cutie.
Yeah.
It's just a nice rubber cutie, you know. I also love that, like, every single item has a journal entry, so, like, if you want to, like, hear what the characters have to say about all these weird trinkets that you're picking up, you know, there's tons of lore, tons of flavor text out there that you can just spend a long time reading. Good lord.
Yeah. There's a lot of info there. Go play Pikmin 4. It's fun. It's very cozy. It's nice to play at night after work.
It's also, like, one of the most addicting games I've ever played, because it's like, you know, I was making a video when this game came out, and I thought I would just play it for a little bit, and then I was just like, no, I'll play another day. I'll play another day. I'll play another day. I'll play another day. Well, I do need to do that night expedition. I gotta cure that guy. I'll do another day. I'll do another day. I'll do another day. And then the next thing you know, you've played it for like 8 hours, and you're just like, shit. Fuck, I can't put Pikmin 4 down. It's so addicting.
Yeah.
The one thing I guess some people are bummed or annoyed about is that, like, it is one of the easier Pikmin games in terms of, like, not only there's no time limit, but also there are so many safety measures. Like, if you accidentally blow up all of your Pikmin with a bomb in a dungeon, you can literally just pause the game and then go to, like, rewind time, or, you know, go back 15 seconds, or not 15 seconds, but like 15 minutes or whatever it was. But there's an option when you pause the game to just go back and undo something without straight up resetting the day or restarting everything. So, like, there's a lot of mistakes you can make that you can just undo in an instant and then just retry it right away, which I call that convenience. But some people might be like, no, these kids, they have it so easy. Pikmin 2 was hard as balls, man.
Well, it was helpful because there was one dungeon where I accidentally misaimed one of my bomb blast items, and it wiped out nearly all of my Pikmin. I only had 5 left, and I had like 70.
Did your heart sink? Was it like the most horrifying experience of your life?
I was like, no, I'm rewinding.
You know what I hate about when all the Pikmin die? Their death cry all fucking, like, booms and bass. Like, their death cry is all fucking played in unison, so it's just like... It's so loud. It's so loud. You feel the weight of your murder.
And then they're like, poor little Pikmin.
Oh, those poor little guys. Anywho, let's pluck some more.
It's a cycle of regeneracy. Oh no, he's dead. It's okay, we have another one.
We can make more, whatever. They're expendable. There was like this one dungeon where they have Empress Bulblax, which is just like this weird slug, which is kind of gross. Her backside poops out these larvae creatures, and it's like, ugh, it's kind of disgusting for a Nintendo game. But there's one dungeon, and I don't know if you've gotten to this point yet, but there's one dungeon where She is in a very closed off square, and you have only like these 2 jet streams that can like help you jump over her. And I had a hard time navigating how to attack her and kill her without at least friggin' 20 or 30 of my Pikmin dying, because she's rolling around in that little tiny square, and the only way to dodge it is to hit the jet streams? No way. No way.
Yeah.
She killed so many of my Pikmin.
That does not sound fun.
That was a tight experience. That was not fun. But, yeah. Pikmin 4 is fantastic. I also loved its final boss way better than Pikmin 3's final boss.
That's very good to hear.
So yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing game. I loved Pikmin 4. It's incredible. Pikmin as a series in general, I think everyone should get. And it's done pretty well. It's sold pretty well. So I think this is like another new rejuvenate. Also, you know what was great? When Pikmin 4 was coming out, they also released Pikmin 1 and 2 on the Switch as well.
Yeah, so you can go play them now. I believe they recently came out physically. So you can physically get Pikmin 1 and 2 on Switch. And obviously Pikmin 3 Deluxe is on there too. So yeah, you have all of Pikmin on the Switch, which is fantastic.
It's a good time to be a Pikmin fan. The games are fantastic, and they're all on Switch. And now they've gotten a whole new set of eyeballs. A whole new generation of kids are playing Pikmin and realizing, wow, this series kind of slaps. This series is kind of great.
And that's what you want. You want a new generation to play Pikmin. Or just really any game in general.
I mean, you know what else just came out recently that's friggin' awesome?
What?
F-Zero 99.
Yes, that's another good one.
Because just talking about how, like, all these kids are getting to play, you know, Pikmin now for the first time, and now people are starting to realize how good this is. Friggin' F-Zero's been gone since the GameCube. Like, they haven't done anything with the F-Zero license since the GameCube, and then all of a sudden they just shadow drop. Oh, by the way, we've made a battle royale with F-Zero. It's F-Zero 99. And yeah, I've only played it for like maybe 5 hours or so, but it is a really, really good game.
I have played it for many hours. I think I'm level 22, 21 or something.
God damn.
Yeah.
God damn.
I had like some virtual days in the last week for work, so like when I wasn't needed on call, I was just playing F-Zero 99, so I had time there, admittedly. But it does get harder to level up your rival rating the higher you get, so I'm on A- right now. So, yeah.
I'm on B. I think I'm on B right now.
Okay.
But I like I like the fact that like you get unlockables pretty quickly in this game. I don't know about you, but
yeah, I got a lot with Fire Stingray.
Yeah, I managed to get a whole bunch of colors and decals, so like I could make it red. You know, I always want my car to be red. I'm sorry, I'm predictable. And that's just awesome in general. Like, I love that you can actually like, you only get 4 cars because it's heavily based off of the Super Nintendo version of F-Zero. So you have the Blue Falcon, you have the Golden Fox, whatever Pico's machine is, and then the Fire Stingray.
You mean Wild Goose?
Wild Goose. How could I forget that name? What's wrong with me? That's such a good name. The Wild Goose. But, yeah, and the thing is, you can actually customize all of the colors of all 4 of those cars when you compete in F-Zero 99 matches and do the Grand Prix and just meet all the achievements and requirements, because you'll get new decals, you get new colors, and so when you actually play the game, you'll see, like, people will be playing with a magenta pink and light blue friggin' Fire Stingray, you know, like it's the 80s or something. People will be playing with all kinds of fancy colors. And they've added a lot of the features that are in newer F-Zero games. Like in the original F-Zero, you can't spin the car to like damage others, but you can in F-Zero 99, just like you could in F-Zero X and onwards. So the way the boost meter works is also like the newer games, where in F-Zero 1, you got a boost every time you hit a lap. In F-Zero 99, your health bar is your boost. So
Yep.
which is more fun and more risky and more intense. And like, you want to boost because you want to be number one in this 99 player race. But of course, it makes you weaker. And you have fucking 60, 80 people bouncing around you trying to run you into the walls and stuff.
Or even worse, like, when you're racing and you go into that one area to regenerate, like, your boost and health, but then you get pushed off of it, and you can't regenerate for another lap. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm going to do a U-turn, because then I'm going to lose the race. No, I got to go back. No. And, it's just pandemonium. It's total pandemonium. It's friggin' fantastic. The controls are so tight, too. Like, friggin' F-Zero, the original, can be pretty stiff, and it's hard to make those turns sometimes, but F-Zero 99, smooth like butter. You just hold the shoulder buttons and move the certain way, and they just turn like a cloud. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. And you can also, like, get tickets to, like, enter in, like, the special modes that they have. Like, there's a pro mode where, like, you can race in the challenging tracks. Like, the ones that aren't in regular rotation. Like, White Land, Silence.
Yeah.
There's one more I'm forgetting, but,
for some reason, Silence is the one track I always die on.
I barely survive through Silence. Maybe it's because of the turning, but I'm like, ugh.
When I did try the extra modes, I was very much into the Grand Prix, and there was one Grand Prix where I was the second place contender, and I was like, I was so friggin' close. I didn't win a single race yet. I haven't become the one, but I have been number 3, and when it came to the Grand Prix, I was second just from my accumulative wins, and I was just like, just the idea that I was the second best racer out of 99 competitors was so, like, I don't know. It made me feel good, Caro. It made me feel good.
Yeah, I haven't won one either. The highest ranking I've gotten is second. So I'm with you in that. The 99 series continues to impress. They just have ways to, like, really make it fun. Like, take really old franchises, spin them around, make it playable for a new audience. The only big piece of criticism that I have is that, like, a lot of these are limited run. So, like, Pac-Man 99, which was one of my favorites, you can't play that anymore.
Bullshit.
F-Zero doesn't go in that direction. Though I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to take it off.
It will, but maybe my hope is that because this is so popular and everyone's playing it and everyone's loving it, maybe this will spur them to finally make a new F-Zero. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Nintendo.
Finally.
Also, again, being like an early 99 game, sometimes you wish there were more racetracks, because I will say that, like, sometimes you just play the same 4 or 5 tracks over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And, you want like 20 tracks or something. You want like a full Mario Kart racer, but this is a free game, so I can't complain too much.
I'm fine with any track as long as it isn't Sand Ocean.
Really? Because I actually don't like Deathwind. I think Deathwind is boring.
Oh, I love Deathwind.
Really?
Yes.
To me, Deathwind is it's a circle with wind. That's all it is. It's just, you get pushed by the wind, you aim for the middle boosters, and you just go straight most of the race. And Sand Ocean is at least is interesting because there's all these cool turns and you're always doing something fun. Like, I love the opportune moments to use that super boost feature where, like, you build up this golden energy. Like, anytime, like, the other racers are bashing into each other, they let out these orange golden orbs. And then you collect the orbs, and eventually you fill out this meter that lets you go above the track on a very special kind of racetrack that lets you bypass all of that completely. And I love doing that in Sand Ocean at the most opportune times when the cornering is very tricky.
Yeah, for sure.
It's fantastic.
I recommend it. If you're a fan of the other 99 games, I don't see why you wouldn't like this one.
Yeah, it's another winner. It's another banger battle royale from Nintendo. Nintendo has all the good battle royales.
Now just make Puyo Puyo 99 and I'll like win number one every single time.
No, Puzzle League 99. If Puzzle League 99 happens, I will never stop playing it. I will play it every fucking night. And I will try to play it every single day so that I get all the unlockables and I'm number one on the leaderboard. I will not stop. I won't stop, damn it. Oh, that'd be heaven.
You hear that, Nintendo? Make this boy a Puzzle League 99. What do you want to do?
I want to destroy the crystals that have controlled our legacy for far too long.
That's it. That's what you need to do. And that's what I already did. Because the biggest game of the summer, or the biggest game of the year, in my opinion, like Pikmin 4 was great, and I love that game, and F-Zero 99 was also swell, but so far, the game that has impressed me the most is Final Fantasy XVI.
Oh, the next mainline Final Fantasy has finally arrived. 15 came out in 2016, so it's been a while since we've had a mainline entry, and obviously this game was very controversial when it was... Well, I don't know why it's controversial. I don't know why we're still having this discussion, because Final Fantasy hasn't been turn-based in like a decade. Like,
yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know why we're still talking about this, because it's like, was Lightning Returns turn-based? No. Was Final Fantasy 16 or 15 turn-based? No. Was Strangers of Paradise turn-based? No. Was 7 Remake turn-based? No. Then why are we still having this discussion? It's
because
over.
Because people can't get offline, and they need to complain about something. But yeah. 16 was one of the games that I have been waiting for a long time, and it's one of the reasons that I bought a PS5. The two games that I specifically bought the PS5 for are Sonic Frontiers and Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to play Sonic Frontiers on PS4 or Switch, God forbid. I wanted to play it on PS5.
What's wrong with the Switch? Haven't you seen the Mortal Kombat 1 version? Looks amazing.
God.
Mortal Kombat 1 looks amazing on the Switch. What do you mean?
Oh, I'm sure it looks fabulous with all those textured faces that obviously look one-to-one like the PS5. But, Final Fantasy 16 is exclusive to PS5 on the Sony side, and it's just a really great game. It's very, very, like, really nice to look at. It's definitely, in my opinion, the best mainline Final Fantasy since 10, not including 14, but that's not saying a lot considering what games we've had aside from 10 and 14 in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But still, it was a great time. I was amazed by it. Everything in that game is incredible. I hope this is a direction that Final Fantasy keeps pushing for, and yeah, Clement's currently like making a video about it, and I'm sure he'll like go more into like spoilers and more specific details. But impressions wise, I can certainly tell you that barring Spider-Man 2, it is one of my favorite games of this year.
Boy, there's so many good games still coming out. But yeah, I'm going to do a video on Final Fantasy 16. I'm still going to talk about it here, but I'm obviously not going to be very spoilerific. And it's hard not to be spoilerific with this title because it feels like every single chapter, the story changes or branches off and does something new and different that, like, it's hard to just say basic things like, okay, you are going to control an icon and fight other icons, which are the summons of this game, and there are crazy epic icon battles. But it's almost a spoiler for me to say what icon you control, even though it's probably in all the trailers and I'm probably dancing over nothing. But because of what the plot is and what happens in the first 2 hours of this game,
yeah,
there are things it's hard to tiptoe and say about like what I want to describe about how this game plays. You know, it's something else. But yeah, my big takeaway with this game is that, like, finally we have a Final Fantasy that doesn't feel compromised, that doesn't feel like it's patched together with wet tissue paper. That feels like it's that feels like it was all made in a corporate business building. That's just like, get this and do that and do this. Like, this feels finally like they made the game they wanted to make, and it's a complete standalone experience. This thing has DLC coming out, but it doesn't need the DLC because the core story and the core adventure is so realized and everything is exactly how they wanted it to be. There's no side content like 15. Like, I don't have to watch Kingsglaive just so I can understand what the hell the Ring of the Lucii is or whatever.
Yeah. It absolutely has 14 influence because a good portion of like the 14 team worked on this game. So if you're a fan of 14, if you play 14, if you love like the darker storytelling and lore that's in that game, chances are you'll vibe with 16 and what they're doing. Especially with like the music. The music in that game is amazing.
Oh yeah, the music's epic and awesome as always. Masayoshi Soken does a fantastic job.
Soken.
He does a fantastic job. I remember I would just like, the first time you got to Hideaway, and I would just like, I was humming along to Hideaway probably in the first like 4 minutes. Like, as soon as it started looping, I was already humming along with it.
It like gives you that like mystic like old feel, like that fantasy world feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's great stuff, really great stuff. Like, I played the demo for 16 when it was announced, and the demo takes you through the first couple of hours of the game, and I remember being so blown away by like what I played. And the demo accomplished what it needed to do. It left off on a great cliffhanger. It made you want to buy the game, which I did. It was just such a good start to the game. It like introduced you to the world and what to expect, and it's awesome. It's great stuff.
And then like the storytelling of it was just so powerful that it was like, oh my god, I had missed a game like this. You know, like, don't get me wrong, I like the Octopath Travelers and your Star Oceans and your little smaller JRPGs. But, like, this was, like, finally, for the first time since, like, Final Fantasy 13 and 12 and 10, it felt like we had this big, bombastic, epic adventure again. Like, it was so nostalgic. I was getting weird Final Fantasy IV flashbacks throughout a lot of 16, but seeing a more realized, a more high definition, a more fully engaging version of Final Fantasy IV, one that was, like, epic and all over the place. And just that whole opening prologue where you're walking around the castle and you're having these intimate discussions with Jill and his brother Joshua, and everything about it was just such a unique feeling and such a unique setting that just immediately goes to shit in terms of the tone, in terms of like how everything. This is okay. So right off the bat, I have to mention that like Final Fantasy 16 is rated M for mature, which is,
and it proves its rating.
And it's not usually the case with Final Fantasy. These games are usually T for teen or E for everyone, depending on what game it is. And this is a hard M for mature, and it earns that rating big time because this is one of the darkest, most bleak fucking settings in any Final Fantasy I've ever seen. There's sex, there's violence. People get their heads chopped up. Fucking Joshua's dad, fucking Clive and Joshua's dad, in the first 2 hours, this isn't a spoiler, it's in the trailer. In the first 2 hours, their dad just gets fucking beheaded and blood covers Josh, and it's just
the poor little
crazy.
kid.
It's crazy.
I remember seeing that in the demo. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh my god. Final Fantasy? You could not rate this T for teen. No.
People get their arms cut off. People get axes to the face out of nowhere. Like, there was an amazing scene where, like, two people were just kind of, like, skulking away in the forest, and then, whoosh, someone gets hit with an axe in the face. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I swear Clive, for whatever reason, Clive always has to say the F word every time he's in an Icon battle. Like, it's it's like it's like an obligation that he at some point he has to go, fuck! Oh, fuck!
That's my boy Clive.
Oh, Clive. There's swearing, there's violence, and also just like the imagery of what's happening in this world, because in the world of Valisthea, you have these people who are bearers, and bearers have like magical powers, but they are also treated as tools, and they're treated as like, you know, scum. Like, you know, there's a lot of racism allegory going on here. And at some point, the shit goes super south in regards to like the bearers and how they treat them. And some of the fucked up shit you see happening to these bearers and what happens to these people is just like, oh my god, like this game is just fucking bleak sometimes. It is bleak and it's sad. I feel like everyone who plays this is going to cry at some point. There's going to be at least one scene that makes them cry.
That's my kind of RPG, though. I love that shit. I'm like, yes, give it all to me. Give me that bleakness. This is good stuff.
It's so overwhelmingly sad and dark. Holy fuck. And yeah, not a hint of self-awareness, not a hint of like that MCU, like dry wit. Like, you don't see Clive making pithy jokes all the time about stupid shit. No, it takes itself pretty damn seriously, this game. And not that there isn't some humor, but you know.
There's some humorous moments in the game. But for the most part, like, it takes itself pretty seriously, and I like the lore building of Valisthea and the world in it, and there were certainly, like, moments that made me cry, especially with, the connections I made to certain characters.
Oh yeah, the cast is awesome. Like, I cared about practically everyone in that whole hideout. Like, at first when I saw Gav, I thought Gav was just gonna be some guy. And then by the end of it, I'm like, Gav is my bro. I love Gav. Gav is the greatest dude who's ever existed.
Mm-hmm.
I would die for this man.
Gav is awesome. And Clive is, like, amazing. Clive's one of my favorite pro tags. I love him so much. Like, he's very sensitive and has a soul. But he knows, like, when to get things done. And I just feel like we haven't seen a protagonist like that in a while, which is something that I liked.
Yeah, there's a vulnerability to his character, which you don't see too often.
He's not afraid to show his emotions.
Yeah.
Like, there's no need to, like, for him to show his toughness all the time, which is something that he does. Like, he shows that, like, in certain battles and stuff, but he's always willing to, like, defend his friends, family, or whoever he's close to. But he's also very open with his emotions. Like, you know when he's feeling sad, or you know when he's feeling frustrated, and you know when he's having those weak moments.
I mean, the greatest line at the end of that demo, I will fucking kill you!
Yeah.
But also, it's, you know, I just like that they also made him really noble out the gate. Like, right away,
Yes.
when the prologue, there are bearers who, like, drop fruit, and Clive's just like, well, I can help you with that. You know, I can help you carry the fruit. And so he's like, oh, no, sir, you're a prince. This is way above your station, you know? And he's helping people at the hideaway. He's, like, delivering soup to people in the hideaway, and, you know, like, this is a guy who will do multiple side quests, and goddamn does 16 have a lot of side quests. Jeez,
yes.
An almost exhausting amount, I would say, because, man, near the end, there are... Because, like, Final Fantasy VII Remake had maybe 20 side quests in total. Like, if you really consider the things you do in Sector 7, the things you do in Sector 5, and all that stuff, there's really about 20, all with their own dedicated cutscenes and storyline, and it's a thing. But 16 has at least 75 quests, and they're all filled with story, filled with lore, filled with character interactions and backtracking, and my god, you can't complain about this game not having a world, because there is almost too much world sometimes. You will find the pacing can be quite slow if you're focusing on the side quests. I would recommend... There are side quests with a plus sign that always give you something new, like maybe a chocobo companion to ride around on, or extra potions so you can heal yourself more in battle. Like, there are quests that give you benefits, and they're always labeled with a plus sign. Do those. But with a lot of these side quests, you're going to have to pick and choose, because, man, it can get exhausting trying to do all of them all at once. Especially when you finish a story segment, and then all of a sudden, just like 7 quests pop up all at once, and you're just like, oh! You just see all these green markers around the hideaway, and you're like, oh my god, I can't do it. But, I do think the game has a few pacing issues where, let's say with the battle with Titan, I don't think this is a spoiler. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that, like, you will be getting all of the powers of the icons because the menus straight up tell you that you're going to get all these icon powers as the game goes on. I'm sorry, that's the mechanic. You knew from the way that circular setup in the menu was, you're going to get a lot of powers. But anywho.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because there's a fight with Titan, and in the first phase, he's his big giant form, and then his second phase, he's an even bigger form. And that whole sequence, those 2 phases to me, went on for like 15 minutes, it felt like. It was such a long, crazy, intense, awesome, fantastic set piece. And then they make a 3rd phase to it that I felt was completely unnecessary and just kind of dragged the whole fight out. I have my issues with some of the boss fights where sometimes it feels like they overstay their welcome, because even as epic and as awesome as they are, did we need that extra 3rd phase? Did we need that extra 5 minutes? Did we need this extra cutscene where they fall down and do this or do that or something? I don't know, but, it's still a fantastic game regardless. I just think that pacing-wise, it's going to exhaust a lot of people, especially if you're a Devil May Cry fan and you see that the combat is very, very similar to Devil May Cry, because, I can't ignore it. It is basically Devil May Cry, but with a Final Fantasy skin. It is. It just is.
Maybe it's just me. I didn't mind the boss fights as much. I don't know. I guess in my experience with Titan in particular, I didn't feel like it dragged. That could be just me, though. Or that I was so amazed by, like, everything that was going on that I didn't, like, necessarily mind it. But I will say that, like, after that boss fight, I could not, like, play for 15 to 20 minutes because I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just play? Oh my god, it's great. But I can certainly understand why, like, that wouldn't necessarily mesh well with someone who, like, would mind that particular length, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room. This game is not turn-based. It wasn't going to be. We've known this for a while. And it is very heavily... I think they actually got the Devil May Cry director guy to actually work on the combat for this thing. And when
they
you get
several people to work on the combat. Like, they even pulled in, like, the Kingdom Hearts people.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts people, Platinum Games had a hand in making this. Like, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, And and it felt so obvious, especially when you get Garuda's power. And Garuda's default, like, circle ability is to grab things from far away and bring them to them. Because that's fucking Nero from Devil May Cry. That's just straight up Nero. Like, there are so many mechanics about how these fights operate that feels very Devil May Cry. But what is different from Devil May Cry is that all of your special abilities have a cooldown. And so it's like Final Fantasy XIV in the sense of you're constantly using abilities, waiting for them to come back so you can use them again. But instead of just being a turn-based affair where you're dodging area of effect attacks, you're dodging for real. You're pushing the dodge button and you're parrying and trying to deflect attacks, and you're moving all over the fucking place and juggling them in air combos and da. And it's a straight up action game. And the big criticism, I guess, is it doesn't feel like there's an element of strategy in the same way. Like, you'll use fire magic against a bomb creature and it will still do the same amount of damage as if you used a lightning or wind or whatever. Yeah. Which I don't really care all that. Well, I mean, kind of. I mean, I think 7 Remake's combat is more interesting, And I think 7
Mhm.
Remake is a more fun game to play. But for what this game is trying to be, I am not like super offended by the direction it's gone in, I guess.
At least it's a better direction than what they've been doing in recent years. 14 aside. Because I consider 14 its own category, but otherwise.
I like the combat way more than 15. I think it's a way better game than 15.
Yeah.
You know, there is a satisfaction to how you dodge enemies and how you maneuver around everything, and the boss fights are epic as all get out. Like, holy shit. You know, there's stagger mechanics, so like you choose which of the skills you want to mix and match with. Like, it starts out pretty limiting at first because you only have like a few icon powers you can choose from, but as you go through the entire adventure and you start collecting more and more powers and more abilities, like, the freedom to just play around with things gets crazy, where like now you can put up a shield, or now you can charge up a big fuck off laser, or now you can slide around like you're on ice, and you know, you can do all these crazy things with the icon powers that make the combat more interesting to experiment with. The interesting thing about this game, you have this thing called the Eret Stone, and it leads you to the Hall of Virtue. And in the Hall of Virtue, you can just set up a practice dummy enemy of anyone you want and just practice combos on them like it's a fucking fighting game. This has a fucking training mode. This has a training dummy mode that you can practice your juggle combos and stuff, which is so strange for a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, you can tell that like they wanted to be experimental in certain ways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're throwing things at the wall, but it works. Which, I mean, like, in the direction that your series is going, like, surely you want to do that, but there's something about everything that clicked together this time that it worked. Like, albeit not perfect, but whatever they're doing, keep doing that.
Yeah. You don't have any direct control over your teammates, and sometimes you don't even have teammates. Sometimes you're just on your own. But most of the time you have Torgal, the good pupper. This is an episode about good puppers.
Good video game dogs. We have Ochi, and now we have Torgal.
I think we have a title, Puppers.
Yes, okay, yeah, that's the episode name.
It's all about puppers today.
It's also fitting, too, because CM Punk has a dog named Larry.
There you go. There you go.
Perfect. Full circle.
Yeah. But there were certain things I got into the groove of when it came to how the stagger system worked and stuff. Like, I always kept Garuda's powers because Garuda was so good at shaving someone's stagger meter. So, like, it got to the point by the end of the game where, like, I would do so much damage and then I would stagger them, like, super quickly, do so much damage, and then as soon as their stagger meter starts to recover, I would immediately go back to the Garuda skills and start draining it already instantly again. And, you know, it's very satisfying. It's very exciting. It's very, there's so many crazy epic moments in this game that just, like, you can't believe the boss fights keep getting better and the boss fights keep getting more intense. And there's so many memorable set pieces that's just like, oh my god, I still remember the Kupka fight. I still remember the fight with fucking Odin. I still remember the fight with this and the fight with that. And it's like, good lord. The final boss fight is badass as hell. It is so friggin' fun.
There was a particular moment in that boss fight at the end where I'm like, oh my god, they really just did that. I was laughing my ass off, if you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Clive's last line before he delivers the final blow.
Oh my gosh.
I can't spoil it.
I was losing it over it. No.
But we can't spoil it, but it was friggin' amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The voice acting is crazy top notch. Sid's voice is insane.
Yeah. Well,
Sid's
they're
voice,
all on
what
Twitter.
The hell?
They're all on Twitter. Like, they are so, like, open to fans. And, like, they've done, like, so many funny voice impressions. Like, when the whole, like, Barbenheimer meme was going around a couple months ago, in their respective voices, like, it was Clive, Sid, and the voice actors for Benedicta. They were all like, tickets to the Barbie movie, please, in, like, their characters' voices. And the voice actor for Clive... And the voice actor for Clive was already a big Final Fantasy fan. So that certainly, like, helped him connect to fans.
Yeah. The one I've seen is him auditioning for Mario.
Yeah. It was good, too.
So I've seen him go, "It's me, Mario." That's fucking amazing. I obviously have my gripes with 16. I don't think it's a perfect game. I have issues with the pacing. There are certain story directions I didn't like. I feel like one character in particular was underutilized, and I wish they did more with that character. But
I know
in
who
general,
you're talking about, yeah.
In general, though, I think it was a fantastic friggin' game. Like, the budget, this is a AAA, big budget fucking game. There's a reason this is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. This is a big friggin' deal, and I was on the edge of my seat for a lot of this game, you know? It was very exciting to play. I can't reconcile with the fact that, like, I still think Final Fantasy needs that turn-based elemental weakness kind of stuff, and why I will prefer 7 Remake's combat much more. But you know what? 7 Remake is one part of a trilogy. At least 16 is a standalone, complete story that stands on its own.
Yes.
16 just has amazing acting and incredible boss fights, and the music's awesome, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I'll be going into all of that when I make my video.
Yep, and like I said before, on my end, it's my game of the year so far, unless Spider-Man 2 or Sea of Stars. I feel like there's one more game that I'm anticipating.
Well, you're Sonic Superstars.
Sonic Superstars, yes, because Fang the Hunter, yes. Bless him.
I will never
that.
call him that. I will never call him that. I'm sorry.
I understand why they changed it, though. I get it.
I'm gonna be a boomer. I'm gonna be the boomer and just say, no, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna call him Fang the Sniper, and there's nothing you can do to change that. I'm sorry.
I understand why. I understand why, though. I get it. I'm like, okay. Anyway, 16's a really great game. One of my favorites this year. If you're looking to jump back into Final Fantasy and kind of see what they've been experimenting with, I really recommend it.
Storytelling's amazing, and the storytelling is what you really are playing that game for.
Yes.
Characters are so well defined. Combat's satisfying. It won't be for everyone, but I certainly enjoyed it. And Final Fantasy's back, baby. Final Fantasy is back.
Damn straight.
They've been doing so good these last few years, and I'm so excited for Rebirth. Final Fantasy's back. It's question time. We are back with patron questions, and we are going to answer them for all of those lovely people. I can't believe they actually pay me to do this stuff. What's wrong with you? Why would you pay the highest tier? Are you silly? But yeah, we got a whole bunch of new questions, Caro, so you ready to answer them?
Give them to me now. Let me feast on them.
All right. Super Michael 98 asks, if you were stuck on an island and had to choose, which would it be? The odd-numbered Final Fantasies or the even-numbered Final Fantasies?
Lucky for me, my 2 favorite Final Fantasy games are even-numbered, so that's 10 and 6. So I'm already satisfied with having the even-numbered Final Fantasies on a remote island with me, but also, 14 is an even-numbered Final Fantasy. And granted, if I can get internet connection on, like, an island somehow, maybe make some mobile hotspots work, that's it. That's all my productivity. I'm playing 14 forever. So, I would say
16?
even-numbered. Yep, and 16, and I have 8, which I do enjoy a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, this was a tough one, because it's like, 7 is my favorite, and 7 is odd. But when I look at all the other odd games, there's like Well, there's 11. I haven't played that, so I don't know. 13. Nah, I don't like 13.
15?
15's pretty undercooked. It's not my top 5 favorite Final Fantasy, so it's like, I don't want to miss out on 4, 6, 10. 10 is my second favorite. I love 10 so freaking much. And 4 and 6, I have so much childhood nostalgia. Those were my first Final Fantasies ever that I couldn't imagine never playing them again.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I love 7. It's my favorite. But I'd also have to agree about the even-numbered Final Fantasies. I'd pick that as well. Thank you for the question.
Thanks for the question.
The next question comes from The Legend of Groose. Hey guys, if you have any 2 game series have a crossover, which 2 would you pick and what would you want the game to play like? Love y'all. Aw, shucks.
Thank you. Oh gosh. You can go first since I went first last time.
My answer is going to be boring because, I mean, technically they've already had a crossover, which would be Sonic and Mega Man. I want Mega Man and Sonic to have a proper video game together. I think that would be fantastic. That would be incredible. And if not, then just Mega Man with anything. Mega Man with Mario. Mega Man with Final Fantasy. Mega Man with Devil May... Well, I don't know. I just want Mega Man with anything, god damn it.
My answer is also slightly boring, and they've kind of already done it, but not really full-blown. But I would really like a Dragon to cross over with AEW or WWE.
Interesting.
Just have like a full game. I want a full game with the Like a Dragon characters crossing over with like the wrestling world, because I think that would be really cool. So you can get more wrestlers there, and then Ichiban or Kiryu can like deal with Kenny or John Cena.
Well, thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Digital Mars asks, are either of you excited for Persona 5 Tactica and/or the Persona 3 remake? Also, shout out to the Scott Pilgrim anime that comes out in November. So glad they got the whole cast from the movie for it. I know, right? That's fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The entire cast of the movie's there.
Even Chris Evans and Brie Larson, who have reached astronomical amounts of fame since Scott Pilgrim, and the fact that they decided to come back was amazing. So I'm looking forward to the show. I'm watching that day one because I love Scott Pilgrim.
But also,
question.
friggin' the art of Brian Lee O'Malley, the fucking music of Anna Managuchi.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell?
Yes.
This is like the perfect fucking project. If this fails, I will lose all faith in humanity.
I will turn on all 4 or 5 of the TV sets in my house to Netflix and just put Scott Pilgrim on. I need the show to succeed.
I loved everything about Scott Pilgrim. I loved the book. I loved the movie. I loved the game. And now I think I'm going to love the TV series too. So, very excited. But anywho, are we excited for Persona?
This is a very pro-Persona podcast, so yes. I don't think I'll be playing Tactica on release.
Me neither.
Or Reload. But I am, especially excited for those two. And I'm glad that, with Persona 3, they're, updating it. You can control your party members now, which is great. It's not AI'd. So that's wonderful. So yeah, I'm excited. I love anything Persona related, so it's always good to see more of it.
I am a fan of tactical games, I like Fire Emblem, I like Final Fantasy Tactics, but I'm never in, I need to be in the right mood to play those kinds of games, and I'm not, chomping at the bits to get Personas, because I feel like tactic games, they're so strategic and difficult that if you get it wrong, it can, completely just kill any momentum you have going for it. So that's why I'm hesitant on Tactica. I hope it's good. I want to hear the reviews and see if it's well received. But absolutely, Persona 3 remake. I probably will get that day one. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it sucks that they didn't do all of the content from Portable, so they don't have the female protagonist. But, if we're just looking at it as a one-to-one, going to the original creation, the original version of the game, and they're remaking that from the ground up, it looks incredible. The voice cast is awesome. And yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
It's good stuff. Absolutely good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie Rennie Rose asks, Hiya, Clement and Carol. Glad to see you guys again. As previously, hope you both are doing well. As for my question, was there ever an RPG you were extremely excited for, to a point of you can't wait to get your hands on it? As always, gonna be a fan of C Squared. Oh, absolutely. I think we just said
it.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember when Persona 5 was starting to come out, like leading up to the release, like
oh yeah.
I was new to the Persona series. I played 4 first, loved 4, then I went and played 3, loved 3. So I'm like, surely Persona 5 is going to be like amazing. And then I read the reviews when the embargo lifted and everyone was like, oh my god, this is like one of the best RPGs of all time. It's so generational, you have to play it. And yeah, I love Persona 5 so much. It's one of my favorite video games of the last 5 years. It's so incredible to play for the first time, and it's so accessible to like a variety of skill levels. So if you haven't played Persona 5, please, 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 this is one of the few games I'm begging you to play. You can find it like on PS4, PS5. It's literally like on a lot of things now.
The last game I remember just like losing my shit. I need to play it. Was Yakuza Like a Dragon. Because I was playing through the Yakuza series, and when I finished Yakuza 6, Like a Dragon hadn't come out yet. So I had to actually wait for the new game that was, like, right on the cusp. It was only, like, a month away. So I just finished the Yakuza series as Like a Dragon was coming out, and man, was I excited, because I'm like, I love turn-based RPGs, I love Yakuza, the animations and stuff I've seen from the trailers look freaking hilarious. This is going to be amazing, and it lived up to the hype. I had so much fun, but yeah, I've been excited for tons of RPGs, because, you know, I'm an RPG guy, and go figure, I'm always looking forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to Rebirth. Rebirth looks so fucking good. I'm looking forward to that right now. So, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, like my two most anticipated games right now are both RPGs, Infinite Wealth and Rebirth. And yeah, they both look amazing. They appeal to both of my tastes in games. It's going to be a great beginning to 2024. So thank you for your question.
Gilly Elfson asks, since I have a fairly good idea who number 1 would be, who is your second favorite video game mascot? And this is another easy answer for me, because I already have many times said that Sonic probably number 1 and Mega Man will be second. Or sometimes how I'm feeling, it's either Mega Man's number 1 and Sonic is second. Depends on my mood that day. But I'll play along and I'll give you a third answer because I think that's too obvious. It's just Mario. I gotta say Mario. The Mario series has never really let me down. I'm always excited for whatever that series comes out with. So yeah.
Yeah, my two answers were pretty easy for me. So obviously I love the Surfbots from Mega Man. So if we ever get a Legends remake, remaster, LMAO, that is never gonna happen. I would love to see Surfbots again. And then my other choice would be Teddy from Persona 4, because he is used in a lot of marketing for 4 related stuff. And I have a plushie of him that I got from Japan. I love Teddy. So yeah.
Yeah. That's a good answer. Good answer.
Mm-hmm.
We're on Family Feud. Good answer. Good answer.
Good answer. Good answer. And one more choice that I just thought of, Chocobos.
Aw.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the question. Yusef asks, hey Clement, big fan since 8 years. I thought it'd be fun to ask you about a game you may not get a chance to bring up often. So I thought I'd ask about GTA 5 and Ratchet Rift Apart, since I'm a big GTA guy, and I'm getting Rift Apart as soon as I get hold of a Steam Deck. On an unrelated note, however, is there a thing about Y4, Yakuza 4, that particularly irked you? I thought it was great, even I preferred Y3 and 7 over it. Either way, have a good day, and greetings from Kuwait. Well, nice to meet you. Yakuza 4... It's probably my least favorite of the Yakuza games, but that's not me saying it's a bad game. I actually like it. I do like it. I just think that in terms of the others, it's its story doesn't really grab me. You know, it's got that crazy bonkers twist, and I'm not going to spoil it for Caro. It's got a crazy bonkers twist that's kind of like, what? but it's a story I don't really think about all that often. I think more about Yakuza 3 and 5 stories way more than I do 4. 4, gameplay-wise, is great, and it introduces a lot of awesome characters like Akiyama and Saejima. Akiyama might be my favorite Yakuza character ever. So yeah, it's I still like it. It's just, I think out of all the others, it just doesn't stand out as much. And Grand Theft Auto 5 and Ratchet Rift Apart. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the best Grand Theft Auto currently, because, I mean, we all love those PS2 games, but let's face it, they've aged. They've aged horribly, and not horribly, but they've certainly aged. And Grand Theft Auto 5 is good fun. Ratchet Rift Apart was a very cute, very awesome platformer for the PS5. I loved it. I love Rivet and Kit. I love Rivet and Kit. It's one of those things where, like, she feels like the Blaze the Cat of fucking Ratchet.
Yeah, I feel that.
Because she's an alternate dimension character, and you wonder, is she going to be in the sequels because she lives in an alternate dimension? Are they ever going to bring her back? And I hope they do, because she's a fun character.
I liked playing Rift Apart too. I thought it was a great game. And GTA 5, I enjoy a lot. I loved playing that when it came out. Like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When are we getting GTA 6? I can't believe they keep making content for 5.
Yeah, my last playthrough of GTA 5, that was back in 2013 when it was on the Xbox 360.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was the last game I ever played for Xbox 360.
I'm glad we have confirmation that they are definitely working on Grand Theft Auto 6, and that might be coming out in, like, the next year or two. But, yeah, it's the best Grand Theft Auto currently. It's fantastic. Trevor's a fantastic character.
Oh, I love Trevor.
Trevor's so crazy. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to 6. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Vanilla the Rabbit 98 asks, "Hey friends, I hope you are both settling into the new season all right. Speaking of fall, what is your favorite part of fall? Personally for me, it's the weather. Not too hot or cold. Thanks again, guys."
My favorite part of fall is the drinks that are available. Actually, throughout this podcast, I've been sipping on a pumpkin spice latte from Wawa. So I love getting, like, pumpkin spice, apple cider, hot chocolate. Like, those become popular in the fall, and especially when we get to, like, colder weather. So I just love that part of fall. And I'm with you, Vanilla, where, like, the weather is just amazing. Like, it was in the 50s over here last week, and that was awesome compared to, like, sweating it out in 90 to 100 degree weather. Like, I love cold weather so much. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so thankful that it's cold again, because now I can, like, edit videos in peace. Editing videos in the summer sucks ass. I don't like it. I'm always sweaty. I'm always hot. I don't want to be sitting in that chair. I want to be, like, just a fan blowing on me the whole time. But my favorite part of fall is the color change. I love the leaves. I love the scenery of everything being orange and red. I just think that's friggin' beautiful, and I wish that was how trees just naturally looked all the time. Mm-hmm. Honestly.
It's so pretty.
But yeah, thank you for the question. And finally, Grand Tactician asks, "Hi, Clement and Caro, longtime listener, first-time asker here. My question for you two is, what is a gaming franchise that you enjoy and would like to play more of, but for whatever reason you never find yourself the time and or motivation to continue it? Hope everything is going well for you too." I can already tell you my answer because I bought it a few months ago. I haven't even touched it. I haven't even put it into my Switch yet. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I own Tears of the Kingdom. I want to play Tears of the Kingdom. It's just Final Fantasy XVI was there first, and Bomb Rush Cyberpunk came out, and there are just so many games that I would rather play first. I like Zelda. I love Zelda. It's great, but there's other games I want to play before I get to it. And I don't have them. I'm not super gaga crazy diehard about Zelda that I had to play it first. So I'll get to it when I get to it, but I don't have that drive to just rush and get to it. I also have a copy of Link's Awakening for the Switch that I didn't really play that much, even though I like Zelda. I don't know.
Clement kind of touched on it in an earlier question, but I have not played Yakuza 4 because I am only on the first Yakuza game, and that is a series that I want to keep pushing through. I played through Like a Dragon. I loved it so much, and I'm really excited for the new game that's coming out in January, but I really want to, like, go back and continue pushing through Kiryu's story. Like, how did we get to this point? Like, I kind of know, like, what possibly happens at the end of 6, but I just kind of want to see how we get there. And I love the world of Yakuza.
Yeah.
Japan in particular holds a very important place in my heart, so I love seeing the culture, like, come alive through those games. And so that's something that I want to continue pushing through eventually. Like, I have all the games. I just need to go through them.
And Yakuza, hoy, that's a commitment. That is a commitment. If you're going to play through the whole series, trust me, I spent a whole friggin' summer playing that shit. Oh my god. But, yeah, thank you for the questions, everybody. I can't believe you pay me money. You guys are the best. The best! Hear me out, Kara. We're done. We're done for this month. But we'll be back next month. Probably to talk about whatever comes out in October. Like, I don't know, Spider-Man,
Sonic Superstars,
Sonic, or Mario. I don't know. One of those three. Maybe all three. I don't know.
Well, Sonic Frontiers DLC. Sonic Frontiers is...
Oh my god, that is coming out soon!
Sonic Frontiers DLC is this week as of this recording.
Oh my
so we're
god!
definitely going to talk about that. Yes. I am playing that right when it comes out. I'm so excited that we're gonna have playable Tails, Knuckles, and Amy for the first time in years. Like, that is huge. And I really want to see how they expand the story. I loved Frontiers already, so I'm really, really excited for this DLC.
Yeah, that snuck up on me. I forgot that that's coming out next week. Good lord.
It's this week!
Oh my god! But if you ever, in the future, for future episodes, want to just listen to us and not watch a YouTube video, we are on Spotify, and it's fantastic. I don't get any money from Spotify, but, you know, it's still fantastic. Fucking Joe Rogan.
Oh, gosh.
But yeah, it's been fun. I am the Great Clement.
And I am Kara. We'll see you next month, and hopefully there's not another wrestling controversy that we have to talk about. I hope not.
God forbid. Doodles.
Bye.